What's up, guys? My name's Cody, and this is another UFC betting breakdown. This time for UFC 274. We have two title fights on Saturday, not tonight, but Charles Oliveira taking on Justin Gaethje, looking to defend his title yet again, and we got Rose Namajunas looking to defend hers against Carla Esparza, who actually holds a win on her. So two big title fights. We also have the return of T-Ferg. I'm not gonna lie, my personal favorite fighter. And a couple old dogs going at it on the main card as well. Before we get into it, last week we had a pretty good card. Ended up making some money, even though we lost a lot on Feely. Feely definitely cost us big, but Jocko, Arlowski versus Carlier going to decision. I was big on that one, and I also cashed an Arlowski by decision ticket. Hey, I told y'all that I thought Arlowski was going to make it very close as always, but I would think he had lost the fight and they'd give it to him. That's what happens in all Arlowski close decisions, and that's exactly what happened. I called the robbery, is what it is. I also had made a lot on Vera and doubled up on Vera live, so that was good. Ended up with a good night. But before we get into these fights, one last thing, leave a like on the video. Make sure you're subscribed. Turn post notifications on. I do these for every breakdown. I know you're probably wondering where I was at last week. Had a funeral to go to on the day I make the video, and was telling myself, it'll be a couple hours late, but I'll do it when I get back. And it was gonna be so forced, and I was just like, you know what? It's a low key card. I need to take this week off. I wasn't gonna come out and half-ass any of it for you guys, but hopefully you follow me on Twitter and still saw my bets, and you could make some money. If not, hey, I'm back. It was a shit week, but I'm glad to be back, and I'm super excited for these fights, man. This card is an absolute banger. So, sorry about last week. I broke a very long streak of breaking down every fight. Really, I've only missed like 2 or 3 cards in the past 3 years. Cheers. Well, I didn't miss them, but I didn't get to break them down. All right. But with all that out of the way, man, let's get into it. First fight of the night. Journey Newsome taking on Fernie Garcia. And Fernie, mostly a boxer. He's coming in as a sizable favorite. And, that jumps out at me a little bit. He is training at Fortis MMA, 30 years old, but, not that that's old or young. He's still got plenty of time, but as far as a fighter. But he is coming off a contender series. Had a knockout in the first round over Joshua Weems. And it's kind of, I always look to typically fade these type of guys coming in as a decent favorite off contender series. I like the fact that he's at least, he has some submissions on his record. He's been to decision. He's never typically been like a big power guy, but because he's coming in off a big knockout, I do think there's a little bit of recency bias there. People are like, oh, he's a big knockout guy. It's like, not really. And then I also have recency bias on the Newsome side. I mean, especially if you try to wiki cap this, because you don't realize, he actually knocked Domingo out in 30 seconds, but, that got changed to a no contest. I think it was weed. It was something stupid. I'm pretty sure it was weed. Also got finished in the first round by Randy, but if you're going to lose to Randy, that's how you're probably going to lose. And I mean, Ricardo Ramos, that was a pretty tough UFC debut. So I think Journey Newsome, this isn't a fight I'm super, there's so many good fights on this card, and I, there's so many reliable, whether it's somebody I can rely on them to be good or rely on them to be not so good. This is one of the more least confident fights on the card, just because, another thing, Newsome coming off a long layoff, his knockout loss to Randy Costa was, a year and a half ago, almost 2. So, that's something to keep in mind. And, knocking out Domingo Pilarte, that was nice, but doesn't tell you a ton. But hey, I put Fernie Garcia not too far off Domingo Pilarte, so maybe you can catch him with something. I think it's going to mostly play out on the feet. It's going to be a pretty tightly contested striking fight. Which Journey Newsome comes in, Fernie Garcia's looked legit so far, but not at the same level of competition. I actually, because of the dog money, well, not because of that, but, doesn't hurt. I'm going to go with the underdog. I'm going to go with Journey Newsom to win a decision. Definitely could knock him out. Not one I'm super looking to bet on. There's just so many, more confident picks on this card, but I am going to go with an underdog to start the night. I'm going to go with Journey Newsom to win by decision. Just a little bit more experience. As long as he's been staying, as long as he's healthy and he's been staying, active in the gym, I think he should be a small favorite in this fight. There's a little bit of recency bias, I think, on both sides. Negative recency bias on Journey and a little overhype going on with Garcia. But let's move on to the next fight. We got Lupita Godinez taking on Ariana Carnelose. Carnelose, man, you can't not bring it up. Let's the elephant in the room. She's the most jacked girl on the roster. She's been tweeting lately oh, you guys gotta stop talking about steroids. I've been tested X amount of times, but it's hey, man, at the end of the day, you shouldn't even acknowledge it. If it's true and you're clean, you shouldn't even acknowledge it. It's really, even if you are dirty, just ignore that shit because you're gonna talk about that forever. Look at how jacked you are. I mean, this girl is absolutely just jacked. She picks girls and she uses it too. She's strong. She goes in there and she has a strength advantage against almost every girl I've seen her fight. Lupita Godinez, probably the better grappler, better wrestler, probably even better striker, better, more volume. But, you have seen her, the size and strength be a problem, even though it was a little bit different kind of way. I mean, Luana Carolino, you wouldn't look at her and be like, oh, this is a very strong girl. Actually, the opposite. I've seen some training footage of her of man, she is just not athletic at all. But she was simply a lot bigger. And the size gave Lupita some problems. And, I do think that in a different way, it could be a problem here because, Carnelose is the same height, but, they size up to each other pretty well. But I do think, Carnelose is going to have a decent strength advantage, and I think that's why, some people think she's going to be a live dog because Lupita's going to have a tough time getting her down. The striking is going to be pretty competitive. Maybe Carnelose can get her down. I do feel like Lupita's got a pretty decent technical advantage here. She's going to throw more volume, and I feel like the amount that it plays out on the feet, the longer it's on the feet, it can help Lupita a lot too. Typically, she likes to put these girls up against the cage, strike to work in their takedown. She's got a good single leg, but I just feel on the feet she's got advantages here, and Carnelose is just, even you can pretty much imagine before you even see her fight, especially, it just comes back to her build. She's a little bit robotic in there, man. She's a little stiff. And I feel like Lupita's a lot faster. Maybe not, more powerful. Ariana's explosive. But Lupita's going to be quicker with a jab. Going to be able to land more kicks. And I do feel like the technical advantages are there pretty much everywhere for Lupita. So I think the line's pretty fair. It's still lower level women's MMA. So, if I'm lining it, I'm saying more minus 170, So I don't know if I'll be betting anything on that. If anything, maybe you do Lupita by decision. But really not. The first two fights kind of ones, I will go with the favorite this time with Lupita. I'll take Lupita by decision. But I don't know if I'll be going to the betting window, and I don't have any bets on the first two fights yet. Next up, we got Klidson Rodriguez taking on CJ Vergara. And, this is really the last fight. 15 fights on this card. And this is the last one that I'm kind of maybe, you just kind of watch these first couple fights as a fan, spoiler alert, because Klidson Rodriguez, so far, first of all, he's coming in as minus 275 favorite, 26. He's looked good so far, man. At the flyweight division, and they need some new blood. He's been looking really well-rounded. The striking's pretty solid. The grappling's been good. He's been getting some pretty nice submissions. Over what level, He submitted a guy only a couple years ago who was 0-5. So, you got to keep that in mind. But another guy who's coming in off the Contender Series and took Santo Curatalo to decision. Actually, I remember that fight. And, Clitzer Rodriguez, he's solid for sure. And I understand why he's a favorite here. CJ Vergara hasn't been looking great. But in that Osborne fight, even though he lost the fight, Osborne, I remember going into this fight, Vergara missed weight. And, he was looking better as the fight went on. But, I do feel like people are kind of keeping that in mind about the fact that, if he can't make weight, how's this 125 division going to go for him? And the UFC is going to be on him this time. So I really think he's going to be trying to make the weight class, because if he can't, he doesn't want to go up to 135 clearly. And, if you come into the UFC and your first two experiences with them, on the Contender Series, you go through, and I think in this Bruno Correa fight, he made 126 in that fight. But, and that was a Usman-Covington fight, and I think he was the only one to miss weight on that. And, the performance could have been worse. He was supposed to kind of get bulldozed, but I know he's going to be wanting to make weight here, and I know the weight cut's always tough for him. So, you could see him not have that late energy if he is forced to make the full weight class of 126, because he just does look a little bit different the few times that we've seen him on the scale, when he's made the weight. So, and going into this fight, we watched a couple of his fights, if some of you guys might have watched them with me, but it's hard to be, don't see a lot to be impressed of. And it's time of where the UFC is bringing on these guys that probably wouldn't be in the UFC a couple years ago. But I just feel like Clitzer Rodriguez is definitely the side. He's going to have a little bit of an advantage really everywhere. And I think he's going to have a cardio advantage. Just has a better fight IQ and can mix his striking into his grappling. I like Clitzer Rodriguez here, but, the line's too wide for a Contender Series guy. There's two guys inexperienced. This fight could go a lot of ways, so I don't blame you if you want to go, Vergara inside the distance, but I'm going to lay off that. I'll take Rodriguez by decision, and let's move on to the next fight. We got Tracy Cortez taking on Melissa Gatto, and this is honestly, some of you guys will want to shit on some of the lower, some people just shit on all women's MMA, but some people especially like to shit on, the prospects and stuff. But, man, this is a pretty good fight right here. Tracy Cortez, 5-fight win streak. Melissa Gatto, 4-0-1. So, both coming in with, a good amount of hype on them. And Tracy Cortez engaged to Brian Ortega, training over at Fight Ready, which, that's only going to help her. Hasn't lost since her pro debut where she got guillotined. And as a wrestler, that'll happen. Was undefeated as an amateur, too. And, she's just scrappy, man. Pause my action. Tracy Cortez is just super scrappy, man. It's, tough. Hey, it's got to be said. Got that Mexican toughness, man. Her and Brian Ortega, they both embody that absolute just grit. And, I like Cortez's style, man. She'll walk through some shots and just grind you out, Some people don't like that style, but I do, She got some decent wins, beat Vanessa Mello, which, okay, it was her UFC debut. Stephanie Egger, Justine Kish. Hey, Kish has got some good wins, That's not a bad loss. And beat Agapova, too. Beat Blanchfield. Obviously, that was on Invicta and then Contender Series. But, those were good wins. Gatto was somebody that I thought, I kind of thought she was going to be a bust, if I'm being real. some of these low, like going into her UFC debut, I was like, okay, really low, some low level girls going, or I should say going into the Rosa fight, because the Rosa win was good. This, submitting Carol Rosa is good, even though we have seen, like that's the part of Rosa's game she's got to work on. But, going in that Victoria Leonardo fight, I mean, ended up winning by doctor stoppage because she put her in an armbar. Leonardo didn't tap, but then, they said her arm was broken and stopped it. But I didn't expect her to win the Sijara Eubanks fight. Now, it does need to be said that Sijara missed weight, and like she typically does at that weight class, and looked like death. And then, so a lot of people were on late finish by Gatto, but hey, she still did it. And it was a really good win. And Sijara is a tough girl. So, to finish her like that was pretty impressive, honestly. But, and you could say, Sijara, much more experienced than Cortez, similar styles. But I just feel like Cortez is going to be able to make the weight class a little bit more safely. We have seen her miss weight, but just not to the level of Sijara. So if she can just make weight, if she can make weight safely, I do feel like, training at Fight Ready, getting all this time with Brian Ortega. She's only 28. Obviously, Gatto's only 26. But I don't really love betting on people if I think they're going to be on their back. Unless I really think that the wrestler's going to gas out. But I just feel like Tracy Cortez can take Gatto down. The striking's going to be pretty competitive. I think Gatto might have a slight edge there. But, Cortez is going to be able to take her down. And another thing that should be said is home cooking. This is going to be in her hometown for Tracy Cortez. If it's a close decision, she's going out there getting takedowns in her hometown. Every time she gets a takedown, the crowd's going to get, typically the crowd might boo that. They're not going to be booing takedowns for Tracy Cortez. They're going to be happy. Not that she's like a huge star, but, especially once the crowd, even the ones that don't know, are here fighting out of, and here their city. They're gonna be behind her. So I think Tracy Cortez gets the takedowns, avoids the submissions. The striking will be close. It's gonna be might even be a split decision. But I'm gonna go Tracy Cortez by decision. Let's move on. We got Andre Fialo coming in. Short notice and quick back-to-back fights. Just fought a couple weeks ago. Knocked out Miguel Baiza, and now, he's training at Sanford MMA, and he's quick turnaround. He asked for it, and the UFC gave it to him. So, looking forward to seeing how this one can go. But he is definitely coming in to this fight with, he's fighting a guy, and Cameron Van Camp. This is a step down from Beza. Van Camp, good takedowns. Definitely has the solid. Goes in there. He's a pretty big guy and can overwhelm guys to the mat and get on top. He's got a good top game, but I just feel like, he's just so hittable, and he's fighting a lot lower level guys than an Andre Fialo, man. Like, you look at some of these guys he's fighting, and it's just nowhere near the same level. And he's just so hittable. We've seen how hittable he is. And Fialo, man, he cracks. The striking is, I just don't feel like Cameron can be on the feet with him. Maybe he could take him down, but can he take him down over and over, avoid the shots? I'm going to say no. I just feel like Fialo, he's being brought in here. He wants that short Hamzat treatment. They're going to give it to him. They're going to give him a favorable matchup. They're going to kind of hope that he can get another knockout and get a little something going, because they like this style. And is he going to be a champion? Is he going to be like a super high-ranked guy? No, but he can build somebody else who is going to be that. He can help build their resume when he comes in off a couple knockouts. So, I do think that, this is going to be a good matchup for him. I really don't see Cameron being able to just take him down and at will. Maybe if he does, he can find a submission, but I'm going to vote that doesn't happen. And I'm going to go Andre Fialo. I'm going to go Fialo by knockout, catches Cameron's chin. Big favorite. I don't know how, if you're going to bet it, I'd probably take Fialo by knockout. I don't know if you'd want to really be laying the big juice on him. Could maybe Van Camp can snatch something up or just wrestle him for 2 rounds. But I'm going to go Fialo catches chin. Give me Fialo by knockout. Next up, we got Blagoy Ivanov taking on Marcos Rogerio de Lima. And this is Blagoy, might be the most durable heavyweight in the division, taking on, a guy who's not been so durable. Blagoy, everybody, let's elephant in the room again. The man who was literally stabbed in the heart, was in a coma for like a month. That couldn't kill him. Derek Lewis couldn't kill him. Tai Tuivasa couldn't kill him. JDS couldn't kill him. This man's ironclad durable. Fighting out of AKA. Doesn't throw the most volume. Not the fastest, not the strongest, not the biggest guy. But the man is just tough as nails, man. And he keeps coming. And that's something you cannot say about Marcos de Lima, man. I mean, the guy's going to have the size advantage. He's going to be faster, more powerful. Better kicks. Throws more. But, first of all, that Ben Rothwell stoppage was early. I'm going to die on that hill. He definitely clipped him, but just like Ben is so tough. Like, you got to let him work a little, but it is what it is. This guy, Marcos de Lima, is supposed to be a black belt, but he got forearm choked to sleep by Romanov. At least it was Romanov, but still not a good look. He was beating Struve's ass, completely gassed, gets arm triangled, gets guillotined in a minute by Antagulov, gets choked out by Krylov. I'll give him the pass on the Von Flue, but you got hit by the guy's one move. Definitely not a black belt. Ivanov's going to have a grappling advantage. Is he going to be able to take Marcos de Lima down? Yeah, I don't know if he doesn't really shoot a lot of takedowns, but if he can get on top of de Lima, I think there'll be an advantage there. I think he could snatch a submission. Overall, man, I just feel like the durability is going to be it, man. Marcos is one of these guys, if he can't get you out of there, he just wilts. He breaks. And Ivanov doesn't break. You can't break this guy. So, he is coming on off a layoff. He hasn't fought in a while, man. I mean, his last fight was, 2 years ago against Sakai. But, I mean, that's a big step down, honestly, in my opinion. I mean, Sakai's a tough guy. Sakai's fought some high-level guys and has some high-level wins. Marcos de Lima just knocks out, bums at the end of the day. So, when he can't knock you out, he gasses. So, and kind of just looks for a way out. So, I'm going Ivanov. If Marcos wins, I don't think he can finish Ivanov. So, maybe he just doesn't gas completely and lands more. And, maybe he's the first person to crack Ivanov's chin, but I'm going to say no. I actually took the fight to go the distance. I'll talk about all my bets at the end, but I took the fight to go the distance plus money, and I also have a bet on Ivanov. So I have 2 bets riding on this one. I think Ivanov wins. Maybe he will end up subbing Marcos or, ground and pounding him out. That's possible, but it's a little bit of a hedge with the fight to go the distance because if Marcos wins, I don't see him finishing Ivanov unless it's like first minute he catches him with like, a haymaker. I just don't see it happening. So, fight to go the distance, Blagoy Ivanov. Next up, we got Brandon Royval taking on Matt Schnell. And this is kind of interesting because these guys fight a little bit similar. I mean, not in every way, but, both throw a lot of volume. Both not a ton of power, but, more volume guys. Matt Schnell is a little bit more of a problem than durability. I mean, Royval, his durability, he has always been good. His shoulder popped out, and then he got ground and pounded with a second left in the first round. But that was against Brandon Moreno, and I mean, okay, he lost to Casey Kinney, and then split decision in Nicker, so, he doesn't really have any bad losses, even undefeated in the amateur career, Factory X, only 29. I mean, there's a lot to like about this guy. A lot of people, compare him like a Diaz brother, like a flyweight Diaz brother, because, he fights long, and just tons of volume, just, gonna walk you down. Definitely throws more kicks than the Diaz brothers. Grappling's good jiu-jitsu, good submissions and jiu-jitsu by Schnell too, though. The problem with Schnell is he just hasn't always had the best chin, man. Pantoja put him out. Hector Sandoval put him out bad. Rob Font, okay, that's Rob Font, who doesn't have a ton of power, but is a great fighter. And I mean, just a couple of the, especially that Hector Sandoval fight, it was like after that I was really like, okay, well, anybody who has power, you got to kind of look to fade in this one. And I don't think, he has to worry about a ton of power from Royval, but Royval's style is like, he might not hit you with the one-hitter quitter, but man, dude will definitely, if you're not durable, if you don't have a chin, he's not a great guy to fight against. And I see why Royval's a big favorite. I do feel like, he just can take more. So maybe he won't put Matt Schnell out with one shot, but I do feel like, 3 rounds in there with Brandon Royval, I don't think Matt Schnell's going to have, the rest. I feel like the real way to beat Brandon Royval is the way that we've seen, Pantoja beat him, and then even Brandon Moreno, even though that fight, it was a little bit of a freak injury, and even how Bontarine tried to fight him. The last 3 guys, I feel like those are, the hardest fights for Royval, because you want to wrestle this guy. You want to wrestle him, put him on his back. Yeah, you got to worry about the submissions. You're not out of the water, but you'd rather that than this guy just throwing fucking... I mean, this guy doesn't stop. So it's I don't think Schnell can keep his chin from getting clipped 15 minutes and keep up at the pace to win rounds with Royval. So he would have to wrestle him. He'd have to really and he's not going to do that. So I think he's going to more so try to use his hands. And, I'm not saying he can't clip Royval. We have seen Royval hit. I would say his striking defense is a little bit of a weakness. He just leans on that chin. Another Diaz comparison. The chin will be up there sometimes. The hands will be low. But, this dude's tough as shit. We've seen he's got a chin. He can take shots. I am going to still go with Royval. Really struggling on a path, on how it's, the method of victory. I'm going to lean TKO. Brandon Royval, TKO. But I wouldn't really play a prop on this man because he could literally knock him out. He could submit him. He could win a decision. All 3 of those are so possible. So I'm going to go Royval. Could Schnell win? Yes. If he does, I feel like it'd be by decision. I don't think he finishes Royval. But maybe you take a shot on Schnell by decision for really good odds. But I like Brandon Royval. I think he's a parlay piece. Line's getting a little scary. If I'm, it's at the absolute most, I would bet it. But, because I do like Schnell, and I do think, he's a tough fight for anybody in the division, but I just feel like stylistically Royval matches up pretty well. So I'm going to go Royval. I'm going to lean TKO, but could finish anyway. Give me Royval. Next up, we got Macy Chiasson taking back up to 145, taking on Norma Dumont. And, this is interesting, too, because Dumont, came into the UFC, was kind of people thinking, okay, this girl, going to be a serious flop. Got knocked out in the first round by Megan Anderson. But, we've seen her last couple of fights, man. Ashley Evans-Smith, Felicia Spencer, Aspen Ladd. She's got a good jab. She's got good grappling, good top game, good jiu-jitsu. And she's not scared to win a boring decision, which if we're talking betting, that can be good. I do feel like Macy Chiasson represents a similar style to Megan Anderson. Just, they're long. They're going to use their knees, their elbows. She is going to have the height and reach advantage like Megan did. She's going to... Norma likes to use her strength. She's really strong. And she likes to put you up against the cage and, dab 3, Until we have sponsors on this show, which I actually have talked to a couple that don't like this. You got to keep the dabs around as long as you can, Anyways, Norma likes to put you up against the cage, use her strength, and kind of just sap your energy like that, and win rounds. But when she's in there, man, she got to be careful because Macy's more dangerous in the clinch. Norma might be the stronger girl there, and then, she might be able to get some body locks, press her up against the cage. She's gonna have to be careful though, because Macy's got good elbows there, good knees to the body, knees to the head, and I wouldn't be shocked if she caught Norma in the clinch when Norma's trying to put her up against the cage, or maybe even catch her with a couple shots to be able to reverse it, put her on the cage. Overall, I do feel like Norma's strength, Norma's grappling, she's a true 145er. Even though Macy's taller, longer, might have the bigger frame. She is big. She is big. Don't get me wrong, but I do feel like Norma, she's been fighting at 45. Yeah, she doesn't have the frame, but she is she's thick and strong, man. And I do feel like Macy, while she has been looking better, and people kind of sleep on this girl, and I do think she is a live dog, and it's definitely, I wouldn't lay minus 230, but I do think, Norma by decision, I've seen that at even money. I think that is the angle for this one. And I don't think I laid it yet. I've been, seriously eyeing it hard. Norma by decision is, even money, right now. I think that's the play, Norma by decision. Macy, I can see the angle. You want to go live dog for the reasons that she's big, she's tall, she's long, she's similar to Megan Anderson. The clinch game is going to be interesting, which is something Norma likes to, if she can't keep you on the outside and use her jab or get an easy takedown and get on top, then she wants to clinch you and put you up against the cage. Those are the 3 things she wants to do. And, Macy could make 2 of those 3 things interesting. I think if Norma can't get the takedowns, the other 2 might be a little bit harder to do, making it a difficult fight. Overall, though, a little bit more past the victory. She's been durable besides that Megan fight. I'm going to go Norma Dumont by decision. Even money if you want to take that. Something I might do. I haven't yet, though, because I do recognize Macy is a live dog. I'm thinking maybe we see the weigh-in, and then I get Norma at a better line when Macy's in there all tatted up, looking huge, looking mean. People are always like, oh, shit, this bitch. This woman. Sorry. She's a fucking badass. Francisco Trinaldo taking on Danny Roberts. We got Francisco Trinaldo, man. Grandpa Trinaldo, as some people have been calling him on Twitter, a little disrespectful. I don't know if he's actually 43. This man's definitely more like 53, but I guess we'll go ahead and, pretend he's 43. But it's very interesting seeing him as a slight favorite in a fight at welterweight. Typically been a lightweight. Up at welterweight, the weight cut just doesn't work for him anymore. But he's not a super big guy, 5'9" at welterweight, and he's not the thickest guy ever. I mean, he's pretty thick boy, but 70-inch reach at welterweight. Could be a little tough stylistically against some of these guys if you don't have good wrestling. If you don't have, if you're not going to go out there and really use that grappling. And he really doesn't. He typically wants to stand on the feet, land big shots. I mean, we saw a lot recently. I mean, in the Dwight Graham fight, it was a split. It was close, but, he's still got power. He's still, man, if it's going to be a 3-round striking affair, man, he's not going to throw the most volume. He's not going to, shoot a lot of takedowns, but, man, he'll land big shots. He can win rounds off that. And, he knocked Jai Herbert out, and, man, the guy still got it. And Danny Roberts, I'm not going to lie, I did not think that he won that last fight. And yeah, I'm not going to lie to you, I had a Meave by decision, but I thought I was feeling pretty good after the fight. Yeah, I understand that a Meave style makes the judges literally, they're like, if this motherfucker gives me a close round, it's going to this other guy. Because they hate his style. All he wants to do is hold you up against the cage. Judges don't like it. So if the round's close, they're going to give it to the other guy. But I just feel like he edged that fight. But he's not going to have to worry about that against Trinaldo. Trinaldo's going to want to stand on the feet and throw bombs with him. But I do feel like Danny Roberts there to be hit. I do feel like even though it's 43, this is one of those fights where Danny Roberts is going to be out there shooting takedowns on Trinaldo. It's going to be on the feet. And, man, I got this feeling that the old dog's going to do it again, man. This man is 4-1 in his last 5, and I think he's going to get another one. I got Francisco Trinaldo. I think he's going to clip the chin, man. This isn't one... I haven't bet it. I probably won't. The man's 43. He's almost 44. He's going to, I would want to at least see the weigh-ins. But, we'll see. Even in the Jai Herbert fight, I was kind of pissed at that. Now, again, I had Jai Herbert, so you can say I'm biased. But Francisco misses weight, and then in the third round, he's looking so fresh. Jai Herbert was looking great, and then, Trinaldo doesn't have to cut the weight, and he looks great and gets the knockout. I was a little heated, but I'm going to go Trinaldo to clip the chin. I'm going to go Trinaldo by knockout. Next up, we got the sleeper fight on the card. We got Randy Brown, my boy, and I will tell you up front, I am biased. This, the homie, fellow Twitch streamer, and, we've been supporting each other for a while. He's a super dope dude. And so I will tell you up front, I'm biased. But, man, Randy Brown, he's legit as hell, man. He's fought, coming off a couple good wins. He broke his toe in that Jared Gooden fight and then just still went on to just outstrike him for 3 rounds. And then, choked out Cowboy Oliveira with one arm. Last loss was to Vincente, but, Vincente cut him down with those calf kicks, and then hit him with a big knee. But, that's Vincente Luque, man. If you don't wrestle Vincente, he in a striking affair, that's one of the toughest guys in the division to beat, man. Honestly, typically guys, if you want to beat Vincente, you got to wrestle that man. Got some other good wins. Rory Alvarez, Brian Barberena, back when Brian Barberena was still, Brian Barberena. No disrespect, but and he's been looking better, man. He's really feels like he's found his own fighting at range, and he's so good when he's fighting at his range, man. 70-inch reach, 6'3", and you can see it all in there. He when he's fighting at that long range, man, he really just a lot of people they just have a real tough time getting inside, and he's hard to take down because anytime you're getting in there, you risk eating a knee, eating a big kick, that big right hand. Chaos Williams isn't really going to be looking to wrestle, I don't think. And but I do think that it would help Chaos to throw leg kicks. I do think that if you're going to stand with Randy, you really should be on his legs. And if you're not, I think it really opens you up to be, I just don't think relying on your hands against Randy is the best game plan, and I do feel like that's what Chaos is mainly going to do. Hey, and I get it. This man has huge power. We've seen it. He knocks out Beza, which, I had money on that one. He knocks out Abdul Rassan in, 30 seconds. He knocked out Alex Morono. This dude has big power. The crazy thing is, before he came to the UFC, I don't know, it seemed like people weren't really talking about his power, but, since then, we've seen it. Even in the Pereira fight, that was really close. It was a good fight. Simmelsberger was able to stick in there, but, Chaos is legit, and he big power in those hands, and, so Randy does fight with his hands down a lot. Obviously, yeah, we've seen him clipped before. That's Vincente Luque. Is Chaos on that level? I don't know. And I also don't think he's going to have the leg kick threat that Vincente does and used. And I think that is why, yes, Chaos could catch him. If you're going to bet Chaos, I feel like you got to take him inside the distance by KO, because I just don't think he can win a decision against Randy. Unless he were to get a couple knockdowns, I feel like Randy's going to be able to land more volume. He's going to be able to land more kicks. And I think Randy, man, all he has to do is avoid the big shot. Obviously, that's easier said than done. But I don't think it's going to be 3 rounds on the feet for the most part. And I do feel like Randy has a better jiu-jitsu if it goes to the ground. But I don't think it's going to go. I don't see either of these guys really shooting a takedown in this fight. I think it's going to be 3 rounds of striking, a lot of boxing. Randy using more of the kicks. Again, Chaos would be wise to do the same, but I don't think he will. I think he's going to be looking for that haymaker, that big shot. I don't think he's going to find it. So I'm going to go Randy Brown. I'm going to go Randy Brown 3-round decision. He definitely, if Chaos comes at him too aggressively, though, he might get clipped. Next up, we got Donald Cerrone taking on Joe Lozan. And I will say I have money on Randy. And you will say, oh, he's biased. Don't. Hey, maybe I am, and I am. So if you don't want to roll with me, don't. But Randy Brown is an underdog. I'll take it. Chaos has one path to victory. I'm going to go with the guy who has several. Next up, we got Donald Cerrone taking on Joe Lozan. I'm going to keep this one a little bit short. 2 legends, man. Love these guys. Not one I would be looking to bet on. That's why we're going to keep it a little bit short. So we can keep the video from being 2 hours. I love both these guys. Absolute legends. Hall of Famers. You can't say enough good things. They're not looking great lately. Joe Lozan did pick up a win in his last fight against Jonathan Pierce, and that win has aged pretty good. Pierce has been looking good. But I just feel like that was a really off night for Pierce. That was also, 2019. He's coming in here fighting Donald Cerrone, who I love Donald Cerrone. He's the man. But, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, well, those are grappling fights. But, 5 with a draw. He's 0-5-1. I mean, sorry, but I just honestly legit. And, this is T. Ferg in 2019, Justin Gaethje, Conor McGregor. These are the worst matchups. Anthony Pettis fight, Nico Price. That was a close fight. If it wasn't for the eye poke, he would have lost that, though. Alex Morono puts him out in the first round. This fight's going to go one of 2 ways, in my opinion. Joe Lozan's going to come out hot. Really one of 3 ways, but Joe Lozan, the most likely way is I feel like Donald Cerrone's going to have a slow start. Joe Lozan's going to come in hot. Donald Cerrone's going to take over late. The striking's going to be a lot better. The combinations on the feet, the kicks. If this fight stays on the feet, I got Donald Cerrone all day unless he gets clipped with a big shot, which we know his durability is not there anymore. It could happen. I think he weathers that and just outstrikes him. Joe will probably slow down and either Donald will get a late finish or decision. Or Joe Lozan's going to get him out of there in the first round. I don't really see it going any other way unless it becomes unless both these guys are really just not there anymore. And it goes, we know. If they just show up and it becomes a shit, slow fight, I don't see that happening, though. I think Joe Lozan's either going to get him out of there early because Donald's late starter, Joe quick starter, or Donald weathers that early first round, second, third, takes over, outstrikes him, wins the fight. He's got good jiu-jitsu too. He could catch Joe in the sub. I don't really see that happening. Joe's got really slick jiu-jitsu, probably a little bit better. Even though people do sleep on Cerrone's jiu-jitsu, I would still give Lozan the grappling advantage. But Donald's got good wrestling, so I don't know how easy it's going to be for Joe to take him down. So I'm going to go Donald Cerrone. Probably gets taken down a little bit early. Maybe once or twice. Maybe. Donald Cerrone doesn't get taken down that much. But I'll say Joe might get a takedown. But overall, Donald's going to be able to keep him mostly on the feet. He'll start throwing those combinations. As long as he can avoid getting taken out of there in the first round, I think he wins the fight. I'll take Donald Cerrone by decision. It could be a late finish, but I'll go Donald Cerrone by decision. Next up, we got OSP taking on Mauricio Shogun Hua. And this is another one I'm going to keep pretty short, man. OSP has not been looking great. He had a stint up there at heavyweight, fighting Tanner Boser, got knocked out by Jamal Hill. He knocked out Alonzo Minifield, and he just kind of got out-muscled by Ben Rothwell, just outworked a little bit. Just hasn't been looking great, man. Just definitely, he's 39, and it's it's light heavyweight, so you can get away with it a little bit more, but he's been fighting for a long time. But he hasn't been fighting for damn near as long as Shogun Hua, who is about 50 in fight age, you know. Tap to strikes versus Paul Craig, which, hey, I don't knock fighters for tapping to strikes. It is what it is. And before that, he beat 45-year-old, you know, Nogueira. He had a draw with Paul Craig. That was a crazy fight. He completely died at the end, but, you know, beat Tyson Pedro. I mean, these are 4 years ago. Shogun, I mean, he still found himself, you know, relevant after 20 years. I have nothing but respect for both these guys, but especially, honestly, Shogun. Like, former champ, absolute legend. OSP, he's a veteran. He's not on the legendariness that Shogun has, but he's still an absolute animal. Both are just past it. OSP's just not quite as past it. I think OSP's going to find his chin. I think Shogun's going to not be able to go 3 hard rounds, man. I just don't, man. His body's beaten up. I don't see him being able to do 3 hard rounds with OSP. Yeah, OSP hasn't been looking great, but this just stylistically, I feel like OSP is just, yeah, he's only a year younger, but in fight age, he's a lot fresher within Shogun. I feel like the grappling, I don't think Shogun's going to be able to just like take him down, out grapple him. And because of that, it's going to be on the feet with OSP, where I just feel like, yeah, Shogun would typically have a striking advantage, but I just feel like OSP will do more, and he can land takedowns if he wants. I'm going to go OSP. I'm going to take OSP by TKO second round. I think it'll get a little sloppy, but Shogun's not going to be able to go 3 hard anymore, and OSP will get him out of there. I do have OSP as a parlay piece. Next up, we got the return of my favorite fighter, legend, Tony Ferguson. One of the best lightweights of all time. Yeah, no, he's not on the level of Khabib or BJ or one of the ones that were a champ, but, you know, the best. I mean, he was the interim champ, but, yeah, I mean, we all know the UFC has screwed him a lot. You know, should have had his title shot forever ago. Got screwed so many times, but... And then some freak stuff happening to him with the, you know, with the cord and all that. But coming in here against Michael Chandler, it's almost like, I mean, I would have loved to see them give Tony a even bigger step down. I mean, people are like, oh, he's looking so terrible. You got to look at who he's fighting too, man. Like the Justin Gaethje, you're not supposed to fight Khabib, and then it becomes the opposite matchup, short notice, double weight cut. And Justin Gaethje's an absolute animal. Came with the perfect game plan, with the, you know, best coach in the game probably. Then he fights the current champ, Charles Oliveira. Then he fights Dariush, the guy who's about to fight for the title. Probably like, you know, I mean, he's going to fight #1 contender fight here soon against Makhachev. Now he's fighting another guy who just fought for the title. And, like, another wrestle boxer, like, with big power. You know, the UFC, it's like they really want to cash out on Tony Ferguson at this point. I mean, they pay him too much to give him an easy fight, so I get that part, but they're not paying him nearly as much as, I mean, you still look at his numbers. You go to all the UFC videos, he's still, like, breaking all their numbers against anybody else on the card. People love Tony Ferguson, and for good reason, man. This guy's an absolute animal. Like, he's been around forever. He had a 12-fight win streak in the hardest division in the UFC, hardest division in combat sports, lightweight, especially, you know, 3-4 years ago. In his prime, man, his jiu-jitsu so good, his cardio, unreal. His cardio and his toughness, never been knocked out, only been submitted, like, you know, 10 years ago, when he was really mostly just a wrestler with a crazy chin and just that Mexican toughness. Tony's just a fucking savage, dude. And my thing is, you don't have to like Tony. You don't have to like his style, but bro, you have to respect him. Especially if you've been around the sport to see how the UFC has really dicked him over. And they really, like, man, won the Ultimate Fighter with all knockouts. I mean, some of the craziest fights, the blood he's spilled for the UFC. And he's up against it, man. He's fighting Michael Chandler, who, you know, Tony, he's 38 now as a lightweight. And it's not a young 38. He's been in wars. And he's fighting a guy with big power who's going to be hard to take down. Tony has not, his wrestling hasn't been looking what it used to be. I mean, he started as a wrestler, high-level wrestler, an All-American twice, I believe. And, you know, I mean, he's 38. He's a strength disadvantage with a lot of these guys. And, you know, Michael Chandler is huge. He's strong. He's a high-level wrestler himself. It's going to be tough for Tony to take Chandler down. I feel like the only way he can take Chandler down is if Chandler gasses. If this was 5 rounds, I mean, and the odds were anything close to this, I would be betting a lot on Tony Ferguson. Because Chandler is not he doesn't have Tony Ferguson. People are like, oh, he's going to knock Tony out. It's like, man, don't forget, he could knock Chandler out. Chandler, not the most durable guy. We've seen guys with way less power, way less, finishing ability finish Chandler than Tony Ferguson. But I do understand that it's going to be tough for him to take Chandler down. It's only 3 rounds. All Chandler has to do, if Chandler goes in here and wrestles, he's going to look like a big favorite, I feel like. And I hate to say that. Tony's my boy, but it's at this point in Tony's career. Thing is, I don't really think Chandler, like if he goes in there and fights him like he did Justin, man, Tony might knock him out. Overall, man, I do think Chandler should be a decent favorite, because it's a tough fight. Tony needs somebody who can't take him down, or maybe even he can take down, or somebody that's just going to strike with him. Like, that's not Justin Gaethje. But, it's going to be tough for him to take Chandler down. He's going to be on the feet. If Chandler wants to take him down, he can. Chandler's going to have a lot more power. In that first round, he could definitely catch Tony with something big. Could he be the first person to take Tony out? Knock on wood, I really hope not. It could happen. I got to go with Chandler because this is a freaking betting breakdown, and I can't just pick with my heart. My heart says Tony all day. It always will. But my head, it's got to go Chandler. I'll go Chandler by decision. I don't think he gets Tony out of there. Next up, we got Rose Namajunas defending her title against Carla Esparza. And, in the first fight, Carla was able to take her down pretty much at will. Rose, has grown a lot since then. Carla, maybe I don't think she's grown as much as Rose has. But, has the discrepancy been closed there? Because she doesn't technically need to as much as Rose, considering she's the one who won. But, Rose has been on a tear. Carla Esparza, rear naked choke in the 3rd round, was able to just keep taking her down. And then, since then, we've seen her get a good amount of submissions of her own. Man, her wrestling's gotten better. Even her offensive wrestling. That means not only has she been able to defend the takedowns a lot better, but she has been able to get takedowns of her own. I still feel like Carla can take her down. But can she take her down for 3 rounds? Because I think she'll take her down in the first 2 rounds. This is a 5-round fight, and Rose has shown she can go 5 hard rounds. Carla, she hasn't been having to go 5 rounds. Is she going to be able to keep her style? Is very take you down and just hold you there. And that's an exhausting style. Is she going to be able to do that for 5 rounds against somebody like Rose who, man, her jiu-jitsu's gotten a lot better since then. Her get-up game's gotten a lot better. I feel like she's filled out since then. She's a little stronger. She's more athletic. I just feel like, 5 rounds is a lot to want to just take down and control Rose. Maybe if it was like somebody... I almost don't even want to bring her up because, she don't fight anymore. But it's like, if it was Tatiana Suarez, and I would still be like, can she do it for 5? But I just, Carla Esparza, it's like, I think she can take Rose down. I think she has a wrestling advantage. But I think the striking advantage is there all day for Rose. She's going to throw more volume. The kicks have gotten so much better. Her combinations, her cardio, she's tough as nails. People want to say, oh, she's not tough because of the fucking whole Conor McGregor incident. This girl's tough, bro. And I don't know, man. I don't think Carla's gonna be able to keep that up for 5 rounds. I feel like Rose path to victory. She could clip her with some TKO her. She could catch a sub. We've seen Carla submitted. I mean, hasn't happened in a while, but and I think Rose could win a volume-based decision too. So I'm gonna go Rose. I honestly probably by decision, but I think she could finish her, man. I think a finish is definitely on the table for Rose in this one, especially if Carla wrestles heavy early. But I'm gonna go Rose decision. Main event time. If you're still here, I appreciate you. Appreciate you getting this far. We are almost an hour in, and I'm going to leave immediately from here to go coach kids class. So make sure you're subbed up, turn notifications on, like the video, helps out a lot. Leave a comment, let me know what bets you got going, which ones you agree with, all that, or hit me up on Twitter. I love going back and forth with you guys about that, but let's get into it. Main event, we got the champ Charles Oliveira taking on Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje coming in off a big win over Michael Chandler. I didn't think that fight was as close as some people had said it was. I mean, yeah, there was one point where Chandler hit him with a big right hand, clipped him with some shots. Justin kind of did the Justin Gaethje thing. But then he got his head back in and just outstruck Chandler. Chandler was like doing a whole lot of taunting and a whole lot of like craziness, but Gaethje was like landing the better shots, winning the rounds. Charles Oliveira, man, he's got more paths to victory in this fight. People keep saying the sub, man. Don't forget, he could knock Gaethje out. The one thing I don't think that's going to happen in this fight is this fight to go the distance. And I'll tell you up front, I have that on a couple parlays. Fight to not go the distance. Some juice, you're going to lay the chalk on that, but 5 rounds with these two. People need to fucking appreciate this fight, man. Because these are two of the most prolific finishers in UFC history. Justin Gaethje, Charles Oliveira, two of the best and most exciting finishers in UFC history. I mean, just a quick scan real quick, because we don't need to go through it all, but it's like the only guy that Charles Oliveira hasn't finished, and this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 fight win streak was Tony Ferguson. So for y'all who are saying, oh, Tony's going to get slept in around, hey, if one person could break the chin, it'd be Chandler's musclehead ass. It's like it's not just the muscle. Dude has huge power, especially in that first round. Could he be the one to clip the chin? Yes. But, Charles finishes everybody. And I remember when people were like, oh, he can only finish the lower level guys. And now he's finishing Dustin Poirier, Chandler, Kevin Lee. People want to shit on Kevin Lee. That was a good win. Put him to sleep. Gaethje, though, same thing, man. Like, who couldn't he finish? Like, Michael Chandler in that fight, which he almost got him out of there a couple times. And then in the Tony fight, it was a little bit of a weird finish. It was a little bit of a mercy stoppage. He never, Tony was still trying to fight, but, it was a good stoppage. I'm glad they got Tony out of there. He was just taking unreal punishment. But Justin finishes everybody too, man. And, I mean, in this fight, I don't see it going the full distance. So that's a bet right there you can parlay up, in my opinion. One of the more confident things on this card, but I feel like, man, Charles Oliveira is so hittable early on. You don't want to be hittable early on against Justin Gaethje. Could Justin Gaethje catch him with some? 100%. Overall, I feel like Charles, man, got more weapons. He's gonna throw more kicks. I mean, Gaethje's gonna throw more calf kicks, but Oliveira's gonna be kicking the body, kicking the head, kicking the legs as well. He's gonna be throwing knees, elbows. If he gets Gaethje down and there's enough time on the round, it could be over right there. The jiu-jitsu advantage is huge. And maybe Gaethje, you could, if anybody could, I honestly feel like the cardio might be swinging a little bit Gaethje. He fights at a little bit less of a frantic pace, to where maybe he could, maybe Oliveira we see slow down late, but overall, man, I like Oliveira more past the victory. I really like the fight to just not go the distance, but if I gotta pick a winner, I'm going Oliveira. I'm going Oliveira inside the distance. Most likely a rear naked choke, but most likely he gets the Gaethje's back in the end of the second, third round. But he could definitely clip Gaethje and knock him out. So I'm gonna go Oliveira, rear naked choke, second round, into the second. They're going to fight at a crazy pace, so it's not that I think he's going to blow through Gaethje. That's just the pace that these guys fight at. It's going to be a great fight. I'm super excited, man. I appreciate you guys watching. Tried to keep it, from too crazy long. There's 15 fights. I try to not go too far over an hour, but I appreciate you. Leave a like on the video, sub up, post notifications, comment below, hit me up on Twitter. I'm live on Twitch for the fights. DMF event tonight. We're going to have fights on Fight Night and UFC 4. We do every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. Come through and watch. Hit me up if you want to compete or sign up in the Discord, whatever. I appreciate you. I will see you guys next week. Enjoy the fights. Make some money. Maybe I'll see you live for the fights. Other than that, good luck. Peace.